2 minutes until showtime. One minute until showtime.
Oh!
Wow, 103. That's pretty good. You want to try for 105?
Yeah, let's try.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Oh!
Wow, 108.
Well,
How about that? That's
yeah.
a very nice birthday present. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Not that it's my birthday or anything. Just thought I'd mention it.
I think we know. We know. The show will go on.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, from the world's most famous beach, from where beach racing began, it's the Legends of Racing radio show, live from racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill in Ponce Inlet, Florida. The Legends of Racing radio show with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All righty. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Man,
everybody here.
I'm telling you, the crowd's coming out of the hole, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And what a great day, too, huh?
Yeah.
Nice
Of course,
and
it
cool.
wouldn't be because of your birthday, would it?
No, of course not.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot
No.
of people love you, man.
Well, that's what they tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody missed him, didn't you? Yeah. Miss Buzz McKim. I know I did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed him, too.
I bet you did.
Yeah, that's for sure. So anyway, we got a great show today. We're so thrilled that y'all were here, and everyone out there, we thank you for tuning in and taking time out of your day to see what we're up to. And before we start, I was wondering if we might be able to check with you folks to see if you could send a little prayer the way of Alma McKim, my mother, and the matriarch of the long-suffering McKim women. She's a little under the weather, and she could sure use some prayers.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought I'd pass that along.
Yeah.
And I thank you for anything you can do.
Talk about a legend and a class act.
Oh, boy. You know, she's at 95 years old, but they're going to save the baby.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so anyway, we got a great...
Sweet, sweet soul.
She sure is. Yeah, she's one of a kind. Yeah, and we got a guy today here. He was on once before, and we just loved him. And we just thought he was one of the better guests that we've had. And we're so tickled that he's back again. Short track driver, dirt track driver, man about town, Mr. Jimmy Britts.
Yeah.
Well, Buzz, thanks so much for having me. I want to start my statement with thanks for having me and happy birthday.
Well, thank you. I
Show
appreciate
329 is a great show.
Yeah,
coming up.
Yeah. All right.
It's been an interesting week. And last night, of course, I'm the type of individual, even though I own motorsports teams for 20 years, I had what you call a love-hate relationship with NASCAR, which most people involved in ownership does. We finally got a gentleman that finally had the balls to say, okay, we've had enough with this monopolizing. Don't get me wrong, I can't blame NASCAR for it, for doing it, because they got away with it for so many years. But the fact of the matter is, enough is enough. And MJ, Michael Jordan, and Denny Hamlin, the 23XL team, they finally just said it had enough, and they filed lawsuit.
Yeah, they sure
you know,
did.
along with Front Row Sports, and I was kind of glad to see it happen. But then, on the other words, you hate to see an empire strike down, but maybe it'll be good to balance out everything. And I think that's what really needs to happen. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot about what the lawsuit was about, or the.
It's about the sharing of the purses, you know, the track money that's brought in, the revenue. You know, the teams just say, hey, you know, we're not making it. The sponsorships are not thriving like it used to. So, you know, we need more help. We need a more piece of the pie.
Right.
Which, if they think it's bad in the Cup Series, you should see it in the Truck Series or the Busch Series or the Xfinity Series. It's terrible. Terrible.
They're not. They just don't have the money there, do they?
No, they don't.
No.
The teams don't.
Yeah.
NASCAR does.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, the thing about the what are we talking about?
I don't know.
So
Monopolize.
Yeah, monopolies. Well, the deal with the charters is, you know, the teams pay millions of dollars for the charters, but they don't own it. NASCAR owns the charters. So where's that money going?
Yeah. They always find a way to have the leverage.
Yeah.
And they've gotten away with it for years. And you get somebody like Michael Jordan, who, by the way, has probably as much money as NASCAR does. He just said, hey, screw you guys, man. This is so unfair. It's logistically wrong.
Yeah.
And they've had enough.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, years ago, you know, Jim France would have said, okay, see you later, Michael.
Yeah.
You know, see you later, Denny. But they can't get away with that anymore. And our society has changed, I think, Buzz. That, you know, you can't do that anymore, and you can't get away with it.
Yeah.
Like Jim France did with, you know, Tim Flock and et cetera, et cetera. A lot of those guys, you know, Curtis Turner.
Yeah.
It just, the time's run out.
Yeah.
You know, so let's see where it goes. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
Can't wait. Do you follow today's races very much, Jimmy?
I do not.
No?
I do not. My last professional race was in 2002,
Really?
and I was never a race fan, so to speak. You would never ever catch me watching a race.
Really?
I would watch recordings of my own racing and others racing,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't really watch racing. I wasn't much of a race fan. I was more of a doer than a watcher.
Okay. Yeah. Now, whereabouts did you race? All through the Southeast, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much every track in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, all up and down the East Coast.
What was your favorite track? It's always interesting to me is to ask a guy who was around the circuit,
Yeah.
no, regardless what series, what was your favorite stop?
So one of my favorite stops, there's actually two that are similar. One has been renamed. I think it's called Showtime Speedway now, but it was Sunshine Speedway in St. Petersburg.
Oh, yeah.
The other was a little tiny short track in Louisville, Kentucky. I believe it was at the fairgrounds. It doesn't exist anymore. It was like a quarter-mile medium bank track, and they decided to make it bigger, so they just started paving somewhere off of turn 2 out through the field and came back in turn 3. So it's banked going into turn 1 and halfway into 2, and then a flat track around the perimeter of 3 and 4, and then maybe 5 and 6 was. It wasn't 4 turns; it was a bunch of turns.
Yeah. And a very odd shape, too, as I recall. Arca used to run there.
It had It had quite a personality. It really did. That's okay. We're good.
Yeah. Did it scare you? Yeah, I'm okay.
So
I didn't do it.
We woke security up with a speaker fall.
Yeah. Oh well.
My goodness, that was funny. Yeah, but that time I remember it was at Louisville.
Yep.
And they used to call it, I think, something like Kentucky International or some crazy deal like that.
It was, yeah. It was an odd shaped track and an odd place to go.
But you liked it, though.
Oh, yeah.
it was
I love
over-
the technical tracks.
It was over off Bardstown Road.
very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah. I would not, never remembered that.
Bardstown Road.
Yeah, we used to have a thing called a book. It was the Speedway Motorsports Directory.
Yeah.
And every racetrack in the country was listed in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It would have the address, and then you would try and find the address on the map in your atlas, and there was no internet.
Isn't it funny how being a racer, you know, you develop a liking for a track and you have an admiration and a love for it. I'm sure you won there naturally.
Close.
Close?
Very close. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you just had it had a personality that you really enjoyed and liked.
I did. I love the technical aspect of it. You know, if you go to a super speedway, there's technical aspects of that as well. And sorry, I'm tongue-tied, but pretty much you put your foot to the floor and you just hold the steering wheel and try not to die. Well, on the short tracks, there's a lot of technical aspects to it that require talent that is developed over time, and a lot of the young guys. It was pretty easy to outrun those guys. So the people with some skill would go to the front naturally, and it made me feel accomplished.
What made you so good? You know, you were successful. You had a successful career. Everybody admired you. Not everybody liked you, but everybody admired you. For the most part, you were a well-liked guy. But what really made you tick as a driver?
Great question. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Not everybody liked me, but perseverance. We had a very strong work ethic, nose to the grindstone. Whatever it took to get there and get to the front is what we did.
Yeah.
And we didn't always have funds to do so. So it was just a lot of work. It was a lot of hard work a lot of the times, with no money to do what we had to do to get there.
Yeah. That's one thing I liked about you is you made the best of what you had.
Yep.
Yep.
On your end, you upheld your end of the race team.
We did, yes. Thank you. So I was listening to some other interviews and some other racers that I absolutely admire, and some of the things they spoke of were about how they worked together with these other teams, and they had this group that had already been there, and they could get this information, this funneled information to themselves to move forward and do better next time. And where we were, we didn't have that. It was our family and our friends that we worked together and did what we had to do to get there. And then suddenly we're racing against the likes of what I consider legends: Gary Ballou, Dick Anderson, Wayne Anderson. We grew up side by side racing, and he had a great deal more background in racing than what we did, and a little bit better support element. And he succeeded accordingly. I'm super I'm proud to be able to say that I raced against those guys, and sometimes beat them, sometimes didn't, but we were side by side a lot of the times.
Yep.
The Pete Orrs of the world.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a great name, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I was there racing with them.
Yep. Did you ever run much dirt?
I did. So it's funny. The announcement on social media, dirt track racer Jimmy Britts. It was kind of odd to me. I raced dirt for 3 years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, in the mid '80s actually.
Yeah.
And our local dirt track, the super late models were these that we were racing at the time. That's kind of what I stepped into, and we're running. As a kid, I'm running a 410 alcohol engine with a big wedge body, and
oh, jeez.
And on our local track, they're paying $750 or $1,000 to win, and everybody had multi-thousands of dollars in engines and chassis. The world exploded from the late 70s to the early 80s in expenses, and again today it's astronomical. Huge money in as the drivers, they got together. I was just a kid, so I was just watching, and said, we need more money to be able to race. We need more money to be able to win. So the track did away with that division.
Really?
Completely. And moved the next division up to the top division. So here we are with all this super late model stuff, and what are we going to do with it?
Right.
Well, the asphalt tracks are still running that, so let's run that. So we went asphalt racing.
I'll be darned.
unsuccessful for a year. There was a big learning curve from asphalt dirt for me.
Was that the Goodies series?
No. That was just local divisions, like at Volusia, New Smyrna.
Right.
And we took our dirt car and put an asphalt body on it and said, we're asphalt racers. But we weren't.
Well,
And there was quite a big learning curve.
So it was about a year. Took you about a year to adjust.
Yeah, it did. And we found a local track, and we just focused on ourselves and focused on our energy and what we needed to do. And we started winning races. And once you get a taste of that, it's hard to not focus on the win.
yeah.
That was one good thing about I call them the feeder series. That into NASCAR is the feeder series per se. And back then, there seemed like there was always a lot of money that was flowing, for sponsorships. The 80s were good years for racing, in my opinion.
I agree.
But it was such a great development time for even NASCAR. I thought the 80s were strong.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Elliott years, Dale Earnhardt, latter part,
There's so much evolution.
Yes, evolution. That's a perfect word for it.
It changed almost race by race. Things changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
In every level of the sport.
Yeah.
So which was your favorite series that you liked running in? Of course, you dominated in almost everything that you did.
We did well in in almost everything we did. I would never say dominated. We did well. We had successes along the way. Some of the funnest things I did were at the local tracks at the local level. I raced an open wheel modified.
Wow.
And consequently built tons of those things, hundreds of them, for other people, and it became commercial success for us. But then the local tracks dried up and sales died.
It was a great revenue source for the time being.
It was. There was a time at St. Augustine Speedway, which was a great track. It was dirt and then asphalt. I think it switched back to dirt at some point. But this one particular year in the late 90s, they had 20 races that year, and I won 18 of them.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was a good year.
Boy, talk about dominance. That's awesome.
The Goodies Dash Series was really good to me. So they were a 4-cylinder series in NASCAR for a very long time, for decades. And when they evolved into a V6 series with the same or similar components as the Busch Grand National cars, we had some stuff left over from our Busch Grand National testing and days. So it was a natural thing for us to go to the Goodies Dash Series, and we found success there. 5 National Touring Series wins and Rookie of the Year. And actually, I have 5 Rookie of the Year titles. It sounds crazy.
That's awesome.
Almost every series I entered, I won the Rookie of the Year that year.
Boy, that's great. Talk about sitting on top of the world, huh? God.
For a moment.
Yeah.
So here you are, Mr. Britt. You're succeeding in the lower division series. NASCAR comes knocking on your door, but you never really took that step in to the house, did you?
So NASCAR never knocked on that door.
Really?
So
I'm sure you had opportunities if you had pursued it, but you just really never did you?
No, and that's one of the takeaways. One of the final questions that a lot of people ask: what would you do different? We'll start that at 12:16 here in this session. What would you do different?
Can you hold that for a minute?
Absolutely.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Jimmy Britts and his next part of the story.
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think?
Good stuff, huh?
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. At Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees, it's all about making you happy. Beach Boys Embroidery can customize your athletic golf apparel, caps, hats, badges, buttons, magnets, backpacks, bags, totes, clocks, watches, and of course, T-shirts. Sure, they're at 2033 South Ridgewood Avenue in South Daytona, and they're waiting for you to call now. 386-255-5880. Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees. Let Aloha Marine get you on the water with huge discounts on great brands like Bayliner, Carolina Skiff, Hurricane, Key West, and Regal. Pay as little as $169 a month with 10% down and approved credit. Don't wait. Get to Aloha Marine, 1700 North Nova Road, Holly Hill, Monday through Saturday. 47 years and always better than boat show prices. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All righty. We sure do appreciate that. Thank you so much. We're here with Jimmy Britts, and this segment's being brought to you locally by Staples on International Speedway Boulevard. Anything for the office. And, they can do anything. They're pretty amazing people. And go in there and let them know that you listen to us. And we would certainly appreciate that. And also brought to you by the Legends of Racing Radio Facebook page. If you go to YouTube, you can get it live. You can watch the show live on YouTube. And if you want to wait for an hour, it'll be posted on Facebook. So there we go. So take it away. Are you ready to give us your next chapter there, Jimmy?
Yeah, so NASCAR didn't come a-knocking, but, you look back. How do you feel about it now after all these years?
So one of the things you mentioned, can you hold that thought for a moment? Actually, I've been holding that thought for about 30 years.
Yeah.
So we all have legends. We all have heroes. We all have mentors that we look up to. And one of my favorites, and sorry if it makes you blush, Tommy Riggins.
Oh, boy.
Was a great guy. When I worked for him as an employee, we didn't get along.
Yeah.
We get along great now that I'm no longer working for him. But I learned so much from him, and I still learn every day. But one of the things he asked me when I was working for him as a fabricator was, "You're racing every weekend somewhere. What are you doing working on cars? Why don't you go get your marketing degree and learn how to sell your soul or sell yourself and get somebody else to pay you so you can have somebody else working on your cars and move forward with your racing career as a driver?" I never listened to that. I heard it, and it stuck, but I did not move forward with that. I continued to better myself as a fabricator, better myself as a car builder, and work on that aspect to make my car faster, not necessarily focused on making myself better as a driver to be able to propel myself into the sport.
Do you think you could have?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
Buzz, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
I have no doubt at all.
Marketing was never my fortitude, my strong suit.
Definitely had a hard time patting yourself on the shoulder. You just kind of stayed where you were.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I did. I did what I had to do, and we did have marketing partnerships, and we had friends that put those together for us. It was never something that we did on our own. So that was one of the things that I would absolutely encourage anybody that's listening today to do would be in your efforts going forward to learn marketing, learn your ability to speak in front of the camera, etc.
Yeah. Now, when you were in Goodies Dash,
Yes,
how long were you in there, and did you feel like that was a stepping stone for you?
It was about 4.5 years, and so living in the moment, as we do often, that was our focus at the time, not necessarily our stepping stone at the time, and our focus was to win races.
Yeah.
Always, even from back in the 80s, our focus was to win races no matter what we were doing. And being able to see the forest through the trees often is a problem for a lot of us.
Right.
And using one series as a stepping stone to move forward versus another became difficult for us. We just wanted to win races. We just wanted to win championships.
Yeah, you were just happy out there running, right?
I was happy to be racing.
Yeah.
I'm on the track and I'm holding the steering wheel and I'm doing well this particular time. So,
Yeah. It's something.
So, as a fabricator now, do you own your own business? What do you do?
I do actually, and it's evolved into crappy restorations of old cars.
Ooh, what's wrong with that? That's pretty cool.
Well, sometimes it's really cool and
Challenging
and glamorous, and sometimes it's evolving your fabrication skills to be able to manufacture panels that don't exist and you can't buy off of the internet somewhere.
Right.
So people will come to me to build a trunk floor pan for a 1937 DeSoto or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's fun stuff, but not so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it pays the bills.
it does. Now I will say when I want to say in 2002 when my sponsorship kind of dried up in the Goodies Dash series, and coincidentally the Dash series went belly up. I was in a situation where I had to get a job.
Oh gosh.
So I went to work at the Navy base, local Navy base, as a fabricator and welder. And I'm happy to say that this coming January, will be my 20-year mark.
All right.
Where coincidentally I'm eligible to retire.
20 hours.
Yeah. So
Not
if
bad.
anybody's looking to hire a old, worn-out fabricator that happens to have some management skills, here I am.
Yeah.
But besides that real job, my fake job, my avocation, is I run a small business building and restoring old cars and race cars.
You restore old race cars too?
So that's actually my focus.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay the bills at all. Old race cars do not pay the bills. Old cars do, but old race cars do not. My brother and I, Mike, he's been a very strong proponent for this. We have a collection now of old race cars that are in various states of restoration or needing restoration. One or two that are good to go.
Tell us about some of the pieces that you have.
So we have a Decon Monza, which
really?
an old IMSA car. That's
Wow, that's great.
yeah. We found it in a garage, along with. Now, a lot of times, old race cars become shelves. Everything that's horizontal in a shop is a shelf, by the way. That was one of Tommy Regan's statements.
Yeah.
So I stole that. Sorry, Tommy. So everything that's horizontal in a shop is a shelf, and this car was stacked 3 feet tall with stuff.
Jeez.
And so we stumbled upon it, and we ended up getting everything in that garage. So I have an old Bobby Allison car. So I've had a couple of them. So one of them was an '87, the Buick Miller High Life car.
Wow.
It was not the Talladega winner. That one's in the museum in Talladega.
Right.
But this was a short track car that was converted to road racing and did some HSR stuff. We sold it to forget the guy's name, over in California. He has a museum as well, and it stayed there for 20 years.
Not Honeycutt. Not.
No. Forgive me,
That's
silence. I can't think of his
That's
name.
okay. Don't worry about it.
Bruce Canepa.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but he's got a collection.
Yeah, he does. He has quite the collection. So he liquidated it, and recently everybody's seen this car on YouTube doing street burnouts and stuff.
Oh, really?
Driving down the highway, yeah.
Now, was it a Miller car?
Yeah, it was the Miller High Life Gold Buick Regal from 1987 or 88. I can't
Prettiest
remember now.
race car.
It was a gorgeous car.
Yeah.
We had it. It was entered into the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance.
Wow.
Because it was a Buick of historic significance, and it was the 100-year anniversary of Buick. So, and from that show, it sold immediately, and then moved on from there. But I forget even now what else we have. I have one of my old Goodies Dash cars. When I quit dash racing, one of the things that racing finally did for me was it paid for itself. I had 7 Goodies Dash cars when we quit racing, and I sold those and the tractor trailer and such, and that helped pay for my house. So that's where one of the times racing paid for itself.
Wow, 7 cars.
Yeah, we were building cars like crazy and successful on the short tracks especially.
And what make did you run? What brand did you run?
It was a Pontiac.
Oh,
Pontiac
Pontiacs,
Sunfire, yeah. And Mark Hedrick was really good to us about providing engines.
Mm-hmm.
On the short tracks, other than the Goodies Dash series, Byron Corey was really good at providing engines for us. He saved our butts many times, and we won a lot of races with their stuff.
Yeah. Was it all 4-cylinder?
So we never raced a 4-cylinder.
Oh, really?
Never raced a 4-cylinder.
Oh, they weren't.
Yeah, when they went to the V6s in late '97, I think it was, and went to all the Busch Grand National drivetrain. That's what I was saying earlier. We switched. We had a lot of that stuff left over.
Right.
So it was a natural progression for us to just go Goodies Dash Series racing with our V6s and evolve with them.
Oh boy! Now, was it kind of a tentative kind of thing to take that step into Goodies Dash? Were you apprehensive by any means?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because it wasn't our mainstream. It wasn't our stock standard. Our stock standard was the V8 Super Late Model stuff, running the Slim Jim All Pro Series, or what was called the Florida Pro Series, or even the USA had a series, running all over the Southeast or the state of Florida. That was our mainstream. That was where we focused. And to switch up to go to a regional touring division with a completely different drivetrain and package was pretty interesting and fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break real quick. We'll be back with Jimmy Britts and find out what comes up next. There you go, Dave. Thank you.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Racing's original North Turn is our broadcast headquarters. If you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food, they're right on the beach at Racing's original North Turn. Come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area, Racing's Original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A in Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's Original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn. Thanks to you, the original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill has been voted top 10 beach bar in Florida year after year after year. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All righty. Wow, you guys are great. Thank you. Hey, your bellies must be nice and full right now.
Man, I'm looking at the stacks of food. I'm getting hungry, man.
Oh, my gosh. Look what old Dave is eating. Dave Dragovich and company. That looks pretty darn good. I could go for some of that myself right now, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're here with Jimmy Britts, and we're here with Larry, and Larry always has a question for us.
Hi, guys. Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for being here, first off. And
Thank you.
I know you race both asphalt and dirt, and we used to do that in the same car. We'd race Saturday night on the dirt and then take her home and change the springs and the stagger and tires and go race it on the asphalt the next night. And that's what it was in the 70s.
Had to have been in the 70s.
70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
Sure was. But anyways, you had a lot of successes racing. I watched your career a little bit, and I want to know either or on this question. Either the biggest disappointment you had going to a race when you thought you'd win and something happened that you didn't, or going to a race thinking that you weren't going to win and you were successful.
Good question, Larry.
That is a great question. Thank you. So I'm going to go backwards in order. Maybe this is why I love Louisville so much, the little short track anyway, or even the big track for that matter. So we went to those places having very little hopes of success because we'd never seen them before. And they were each unique in their shape and size and everything about them. So on the way to the little short track in Louisville, the trailer hitch broke. And we knew we couldn't make it there in time to practice or qualify or anything. We knew we could make it there in time for the race. And we had, we employed some locals in Chattanooga where our trailer hitch broke to help us repair the truck and trailer. And we called the NASCAR track official, I forget what his name was, Mike Simons, and said, look, we can get there by 8 o'clock. Can we still start the race? So NASCAR rules say you have to run 5 laps, at least in practice, before you can go that far. And there was not a full field. I think a full field was like 32 cars at that time, and there were only like 28 cars in this race. So if you run those 5 practice laps and are at speed, you can start the race on the tail. So we made it there, and we ran our 5 practice laps, and coincidentally, those 5 practice laps could have been on the pole.
Oh, man.
So little did they know, I did run the place a few years prior in the All-Pro Series, in the Slim Jim All-Pro Series. So we started at the back, and as I was passing for the lead, the right front wheel bearing went out.
Oh, man.
So these were still, it was an evolution of the Goodies Dash series. They were running the V6 cars, but still the 4-lug, smaller wheels and hubs and such. And overnight, as we're on our way home, we already figured out how we're going to build this car into a brick wall. It's not going to fall again, not going to fail again. And similarly, in the big track in Louisville, we had never been there, and we made a few laps, and we were the slowest car on the track. And no matter what it takes, we're going to get faster. We're going to get faster. And I went around and found the biggest sway bar I could find, one about the size of my leg, basically, and stuck it in the car and to keep the car up on the right front. And it worked, and we finished second. So,
Son of a gun.
Yeah, it was a great success.
Oh, that's awesome. What great stories. And overcoming,
Working hard to overcome obstacles is our goal most of the time. So, oppositely, there's been several shoe-ins that we knew we were going to win the race, especially at a local track close to Jacksonville, Florida, where we're from. In Lake City, we were the local favorite. No matter what, we're going to win. We could show up late, just miss practice completely, and go straight to qualifying, and we'll be on the pole and win the race. And often, you put the cart in front of the horse, and you know what happens.
Yeah.
Things happen, and you fail. So humble yourself real quick and get back to work. Nose to the grindstone.
Were you a Friday and Saturday night racer?
Often, yeah. Especially when Orlando was open, Orlando Speed World was open. There were, so in the late 90s, there were 3 or 4 years that every weekend I was racing somewhere, sometimes 2 nights a week, somewhere, every weekend of the year. New Smyrna used to be open every week, 50 weeks a year. They would close, Christmas and New Year's, and that was it.
That's right.
But then they would reopen for the red eye, New Year's Day or the next day after. So every week we would race somewhere for a good 5 or 6 years. Friday nights, Orlando and some of the other tracks around Florida, we would race. It's funny, the night that Orlando Speed World closed the short track, I was there. It was a 125 lap Florida Pro race. There was let's call it the big one. Daytona always has the big one. Well, short tracks do too. There was a big one. Short track meaning the track. I want to say Orlando was a 1/3 mile or 3/8 of a mile, similar. And we had 28 or 30 cars there. So when the leader takes the green, he's almost catching the tail end car. And there were some pretty big hitters in this race: Pete Orr, Gary Ballou, Dick Anderson, the ones I speak of regularly, Mike Fritz. It's that are people that I look up to. They're right in front of me or right behind me, and a wreck happens, and I want to say probably 6 or 8 cars slide up into the turn 3 wall. The red flag the race, and then this silvery liquid comes trickling down the track from one of the cars.
Oh, you're kidding.
And then the officials, they slowly walk from car to car to car and say, go to your truck and go home. Now the race is over. Midway through the race, and the race is, we're not done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're done because the race is over. And as it turns out, it was mercury that one of the racers was using in their chassis, and it was an environmental issue. And
wow.
And the track shut down for a very long time. I guess they've opened back up partially doing some other things, but as a short track, I don't know if they are.
They had to come in and dig it out.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think 3 feet down. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I remember the story.
I wonder if they ever found out whose car it was.
Oh, they did, and I'm not going to mention names.
Oh, okay.
It's since passed, but
okay.
That was supposed to never have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. We would joke about that amongst some of the other racers. It's like, wow, who would have heard of mercury in your frame rails, and how would you even get that? And then one guy was like, how much do you want? I can get you all you want.
Hey, when we're going to break for a second, but when we come back, could you explain what the significance is to mercury and how it's a benefit?
Oh, sure.
Good. Okay, we appreciate that.
Great.
We're going to take a break here, and as you guys can see, this is why we love Jimmy Britts. He's an excellent, excellent guest, and we thank him so much for being here. We'll be right back after this message.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Daytona Flea and Farmers Market is still the one for great savings and the best variety. Whether you need flowers and trees for your home or you're looking for great prices on Daytona Beach souvenirs, the market is the place to go. The market features 1,000 booths, 2 air-conditioned malls, a restaurant, and 9 snack shacks. Hops Grill features gourmet burgers and garden blend salads. Treat yourself to a great variety of brat and hot dog creations at the Dog House, or enjoy a refreshing drink at the Seltzer Oasis. The market is open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and is 90% undercover, so you can shop rain or shine. There's never a charge for parking or admission. Enjoy our monthly classic car cruise-in on the first Saturday of every month, and garage sale weekend, the third weekend of every month. See all we have to offer at DaytonaFleaMarket.com or like us on Facebook. Discover Daytona's most unique shopping experience, the Daytona Flea and Farmers Market, just a mile west of the Speedway. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All righty. Thank you, everybody. We're here with Jimmy Britts, and we've got Rich Combs here. Rich, you have a question for Jimmy, don't you?
Yeah. Hey, great show. Just let me say that. I mean, you guys got a real racer on here today. He's telling you the truth. If you've been through it, he's telling it the way it is.
Yes, sir.
But you had one great word there that you said. You're talking about modifieds. You built 100 modified cars, and I know you've run modifieds. I love modifieds. When I hear they're running somewhere, that's where I'm going. And the reason is these guys are the fastest of anything that's out there. They run hard. They never wreck. You get a guy like Donnie Schatz, you get the other big ones. They get out front, they run the car, they never wreck. What is in their mindset that makes them different from a regular Saturday night racer?
So great question, and thanks for coming and thanks for asking. So one of the things I think that gets in your mind as a modified racer as opposed to a stock car racer, so to speak,
Right.
Would be that your wheels are exposed. It doesn't take very much effort at all to do a wheel hop somebody with another car, and when you do wheel hop, often it's catastrophic. That's the very short version. It's a matter of mutual respect for others on the racetrack, and mutual respect for what will happen if there is contact. In short track racing with the stock cars, as my dad always said, racing is a contact sport.
Yeah.
Very often is the case. The bump and run is very common. It doesn't take much to get past somebody when you're both racing on edge, and just touch somebody like that. Suddenly they're over the edge. With the modifieds, when you do that,
Catastrophic.
that's a very good word for it. Yes, it's
Similar to open wheel racing.
Yeah, it is open wheel racing. Yeah, so with the modifieds, it's open wheel racing, and things happen fast and sudden, and often it's not a very good result.
Yeah.
Well, you answered the question, and as you're answering the question, I'm thinking 2 words: mutual respect.
Yeah.
That's it. You answered the question. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming.
Thanks, Rich.
Appreciate that, Rich. Yes. So you were about to give us a Physics 101 lesson here on Mercury and the race car chassis.
Yeah.
So
What would be the advantage of trying to use mercury?
So lead has been commonly used as a ballast for cars for decades.
But liquid form?
No. Lead is in a solid
Yes.
base,
Yeah,
like your wheel weights on your wheels
NASCAR
to balance your
Yes.
tires as you go down the highway. People use lead weights on them, whether they're stuck on or clipped on. So when a series creates a set of rules, those rules will also include a weight limit, a minimum weight limit. And horsepower to weight ratio is a real concept. So if you have, say for instance in go-kart racing, 10 pounds in a go-kart is a huge benefit if you have a 10-pound, if you weigh 10 pounds less. So in race cars, similarly, if you're 10 pounds less or 20 pounds less, for example, it's quite a benefit. It's not a huge benefit because you're looking at a 2,800 or 3,000 pound car. But the other factor is when you're turning left only, like in a stock car, a left-hand series stock car that we're racing in. Pretty much everybody that's been in the show is a left turn only guy. They have weight rules for that too, to where the left side percentage of the car is hypothetically 56% or 58% or 60%, depending on the series. So let's just say the total weight of the car is 2,800 pounds, but the maximum left side weight is 58%. Now, I know NASCAR phrases it differently to where it's, say, 2,800 pounds, but the minimum right side weight is, say, 1,500 pounds, where it's 50-50 or 56%. So the percentage ends up being the same. So you start the race with that proper percentage, and you go across the scales, and you're right, and they weigh each corner of the car. And they have to factor that in, and you look at your scale sheet. All right, yeah, you're at 58%. You're fine. You can start the race this way. You can go assume your position on the track.
But is mercury heavier? Is that the point you're getting to here?
It's a very long version of getting to that point. Yes, sorry, Gary.
No, we want to know.
So with lead, it's a block of lead, or it's a block of tungsten, which is heavier than lead, that's fixed in the car where it goes, and it cannot move. So once you've crossed the scales and you've assumed your proper legal weight and legal percentages prior to the race, then you have your liquid mercury pumped from the right side of the car to the left side of the car to increase your left side percentage weight.
I'll be darned. Okay.
Sometimes by 100 pounds, sometimes more. Variable. I've never done it.
Okay.
I don't know anybody that has.
Okay. That's
so
good.
You have a percentage of left side weight that's increased over everybody else who has a fixed left side percentage of weight. So midway through the race, when somebody gets in a crash, and it's a catastrophic crash that cracks the frame rail open and mercury comes rolling down the track, that track ends up getting kind of evaporated by the EPA. But up until that point, it was a lot more common practice than I realized. I can tell you that.
Well, you don't expect for that frame front to basically crack. I mean, it would take a hell of a hit for that to happen, but it did.
It did.
Coincidentally.
It did, and it does.
So you could actually pump the mercury from side to side.
Yes.
Wow.
And after the race, if you happen to win the race or finish in the top 5 and you have to go back across the scales, pump it all right back. And it's all
pretty cool.
And you're legal again.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Legal.
So it was a pretty common practice then, huh?
It was a practice. I don't know how common it was. I've only seen it exemplified a few times. Yep.
Interesting. I always heard stories, but never knew exactly how it works.
So I have to ask you. You talked about this gentleman for a few times here during the course of the last hour, Gary Ballou.
He's quite the racer,
Great,
isn't he?
and a personality.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had him on the show 3 times now, and we love the guy. But tell us about your experience with him, racing against that guy.
So
I mean, he was so charismatic, I'm sure, at the track. I mean, you had to be, mesmerized.
So in my experience, absolutely. So it was somebody that growing up we heard about him, we read about him, and suddenly I'm racing against him. And at this one particular track that I was having moderate success, and I was kind of the hard guy to beat at the time. And he was showing up with Pee Wee Griffin.
Oh, boy.
Which is a great name as well.
Yes.
Very, very charismatic at the racetrack sometimes. He had somebody else driving the car for him.
Can you hold tight for a minute?
Absolutely.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back and listen to this. This is going to be good stuff right here.
Yeah.
Jimmy Britts, everybody.
Well,
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Welcome to Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. You're right in the middle of all the action. Daytona International Speedway, the airport, One Daytona, Florida's newest entertainment and retail destination, and of course, the world's most famous beach. You'll love our newly remodeled 1- and 2-bedroom suites, along with our popular King Studios. You won't need your full kitchen, as Homewood Suites Daytona serves up complimentary breakfast and evening social. It's like home away from home. Go to HomewoodDaytona.com for Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
Thank you, everybody. We're back here for the last segment, and we've got Jimmy Britts here, and he's just about ready to tell us his opinion on one of our favorite people, Gary Ballou.
Wow, that was an open-ended statement.
Yeah.
So my opinion of Gary Ballou, I think the world of him as a race car driver. I think the world.
So you were expected to win. You were the front runner, and here comes Gary Ballou in for that weekend race.
Let me back up a second.
Okay.
So Pee Wee Griffin had a car. It was it's a famous race car, a stock car called Cockroach. Around the early 90s.
Yeah.
It was a black Camaro number 3. It looked just like the Dale Earnhardt number 3.
Always had somebody driving it.
Yes. And at the local level that we were racing at, we were hard to beat. And they threw whatever it took to beat me and couldn't do it. And he had Gary Ballou there one night, and Gary was just watching, and I won the race, and he looked at me like, I'm going to come get you. And sure enough, he did. Yeah, he's hard to beat.
Yeah.
No matter what he sits in, he's going to win or die trying.
Yeah. His own worst enemy.
Yeah, he came back shortly after that, and he dominated that series that I was running. And Gary's tough. He's absolutely a racer through and through.
Yeah, one of the most interesting, charismatic individuals I've ever met in my life.
Yeah,
You know, he's such a personality, and you can't help but like him.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
Just balls to the wall. I really wish he would have stayed involved in NASCAR and really created a name for himself.
Oh, he could have been a superstar.
Yeah, superstar.
Absolute
You know,
superstar.
compare to Tim Richmond type personality, persona.
I
sure.
absolutely agree. Yeah, and what was it? What would they call that? The Black Monday, that everything went down. That
Yeah.
that a lot of people were. Let's just call it went down.
Yeah, I got to tell you what I think of you. You know, and when somebody makes
I'm
that
scared.
statement, no,
Yeah.
no, I feel like if you would have opened that door to NASCAR with your personality, not your personality. Your personality was kind of like stay where your safe zone was. But I think with your looks, with your credentials, I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I think Buzz will agree with me, that you would have had a successful ride in NASCAR. I really,
yeah.
truly believe that. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I'm telling you the truth, okay? Yeah.
I am grateful
Yeah.
for that opinion.
Yeah, you
So-
had you had a successful ride. You should be very, very proud of what you accomplished. You're a very knowledgeable guy. You know about race cars, and there's a lot of guys that race cars that are very famous that don't know how to work on them.
That's true. That's very
Especially
true.
this day and age.
I absolutely agree, and it's hurtful to see that when someone asks you what would you do to make the car better. I don't know. It just doesn't turn.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. So okay.
Do you like the way the sport of NASCAR? I mean, the lower veins of racing, they're somewhat dissipated, as we all know.
They've changed.
Not completely, but how do you feel about NASCAR in general, in your opinion? You don't watch it, but what do you think of it?
I agree. So let me back up a second. So Gary, you're a car owner currently?
I was a car owner for 20 years.
Okay,
yes.
you're not anymore?
No.
Oh, then disregard what I was going to say. So let's go racing.
Yeah.
Let's go racing together.
I've got a lot of that. Yeah.
So things have changed. Let's call it evolution. Let's call it just change. And things are different. The super late models, as I knew them at the local level, aren't necessarily the same. They run a different engine. They'll run a spec engine or a sealed engine. Oftentimes they'll run an open engine. I'm not even sure anymore. I'm not much of a fan of racing. I don't go to watch races, so it's probably not a fair question. But as far as NASCAR is concerned, there's so much change in the new cars, the next gen, whatever it's called. I mean, somebody said recently that they only have like 10 or 11 gallon fuel cells anymore. I don't even know. It's so much change to absorb at one time for somebody, an old school guy like me, who doesn't feel all that old, but suddenly is. There's so much change that it's just different. Everything is different.
Yeah, that is one thing that NASCAR did do for the owners, is they made a more durable car, less problematic, much more desirable in my opinion.
Yep.
But on the other side, it still gave them the green flag to monopolize, and here we are, where we are with this Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin deal.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see. That's all I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. You start getting into antitrust. And,
Antitrust laws,
the government comes in.
and Michael Jordan has a powerful attorney. Let me tell you.
Well, I bet.
Certainly does.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this has been a great show, as always, with this guy.
And the new faces, you guys are coming back. We like that, Buzz. Of course, we're back.
Yeah. We thank you all for being here. And glad you didn't forget us.
And Mike and Rich standing in for us, man, while both you and I were gone. And Mike keeping things in order.
Yep.
And Danny, I mean, I see what they go through week in and week out carrying all this shit in. Let me tell you something. It is a circus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
watch it.
amazing. Yeah, but we thank Danny for working the board over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny, thank you
Yeah,
very
Danny,
much.
all right.
And we thank Mike and Mr. Steve for the applause signs. Yeah. And
So I want to say this too, if I may interject. I want to thank Mike, Danny, Gary, Buzz. Forgive me. You just said the name. Steve.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for having me.
Yeah, we
Oh, man, it was our
Again,
pleasure.
happy
we want you
birthday.
back.
Our pleasure.
We want you back.
Yeah.
We got cake over here or somewhere. Where'd
Cake?
it go? Yeah.
You're kidding.
Cake, yeah. Birthday
Oh,
cake.
Must be a special
Yeah.
day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
We got, chocolate.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Man.
Yeah, I'd
And-
eat a dead frog if it had chocolate on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, okay. Crickets.
Yeah.
We wish your mother well. We'll be thinking about her,
Thank
praying
you.
for her.
Appreciate that.
And, man, the list goes on and on. I mean, we've got some good shows coming up.
Oh, boy.
You know.
Yeah, next week we have George Levy. He'll be here with his new book on Jim Hall.
Yeah.
And he's got a story about the photography in that book that you absolutely won't believe.
Yeah.
And
I will
can't
actually
go into
try
any
to be here for
details.
that show.
Yeah.
George will have a lot to say.
Oh, boy.
That'll be
Yeah.
a great show.
Ronnie
great.
Ron, people from Jacksonville. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
Ronnie and Sue, we
Sue.
thank you for
Yeah.
lining us up with Steve.
You remember this guy? Racer?
Ronnie is my great friend.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
been really good to me, and
Yeah.
he's a great ambassador for the Jacksonville Motorsports Hall of Fame.
Oh, boy,
Well,
you're not
he's a
kidding.
great ambassador for NASCAR, any kind of racing. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
renowned. He's
That's
known
for sure.
throughout the country.
But he got you lined up with us, Jimmy, and we can't thank them enough.
Yeah.
And it's a heck of a deal. So if anybody wants to hang around and have some cake, I'd be happy to share.
Yeah.
I don't usually share my cake.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll have something to go home.
Today's
I-
an exception.
yeah.
I'm eating some cake of
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so. Very good. Yeah, so make sure you join us next week. It's going to be a great, great show.
Yeah,
and we
George
thank you.
has always got something to say, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, take care, everybody.
Thanks,
We'll see you next
take
week.
care. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
The Legends of Racing radio show originates live from the very spot where beach racing began. Racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. Join us next time for the Legends of Racing radio show with host Buzz McKim and co-host Gary Keller.